Hello and welcome. Happy to be here. We're going to be talking about I'm certified. Now what? Hopefully, you attended the first part of the webinar series where we talked about how to do business with the state of California, certification and registration. Here's my information. My name is Teresa Macias-Ruiz. I'm a bilingual business outreach liaison with the Office of Small Business and DVBE Services with the California Department of General Services. My phone number and my email is there, but let me tell you, I prefer that you use email if you're gonna contact me, because if I'm not in the office, because I do travel for events, or if I'm busy doing something and I can't get to your email, I flag the email and then I come back to it. Okay, so go ahead and if you need to email me, use that instead of the phone number. Let's start with the overview. I'm going to talk about your eProcure profile. I'm going to go a little bit over keywords and UNSPSC codes. I'm also going to talk about contract opportunities, how to find them, and important parts once you find a contract that you like. I'm also going to talk about researching past purchases and the importance of it, in which will lead to the SB DVBE advocates, which are state employees, and why they're important to you as well. I'm also going to introduce or talk about reciprocity partners. There is over 40 of them which accept our certification. I'm also going to talk a little bit about emergency contracting, and then lastly, the commercially useful function, because it is law and we have to tell you every time we do a presentation so you know about it. Let's talk about eProcure profiles. It is crucial for your information, okay, for this information that you're seeing here to be accurate and current on your eProcure profile, because this is the way that buyers will find your business, okay? So you want to make sure that your business name, your email, your address, keywords, UNSPSCs, all that information, it's always up to date. Sometimes you lose employees. That email, and if that employee was on your profile, you got to get rid of it and replace it with the current one, right? My suggestion for that too could be making an email box that anybody can have access to. Okay, that way somebody is always looking at that email box. That's what we have in our office too. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is your keywords in UNSPSCs. So both of these describe the goods and services that your company provides. So if you have a good, robust a set of keywords in UNSPSCs, and meaning everything that you sell, right? It allows buyers to find your business. And it is also used by eProcure, by the system, to send you, your business, notifications about bidding, right, on or contracts. And you can edit it at any time. And I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to show you how to do that later on in the presentation. So keywords. So keywords describe a good or service, such as concrete, environmental, or legal. So it should be describing anything and everything that you sell. So if you're a company that sells products and you sell 200 different types of products, you want to have every single one of those 200 products as a keyword, okay? Because buyers will search for your business by entering keywords. Sometimes UNSPSCs, but a lot of times they will use keywords, okay? You're the ones that's going to pick the keywords because you know your business and you know what you sell. So some tips about using keywords, okay? Use individual words, not sentences. And also, each one of the keywords should be in one of the lines. And you'll see what I'm talking about because I'll talk about it once I'm going over how to update the keywords, okay? Use singular and plural. For example, pencil and pencils, right? Common words and technical jargon are good to use. You can use broad words and specific words. You can also use synonyms. That's good. Okay, like garbage, trash, waste, truck, trucking, hauling, that kind of stuff. You can also use multi-word keywords, like information technology, water filters, that kind of stuff. Just think about it. If that's what you sell, something that has a multi-word, then that's fine. You can put it in there, okay? And you can copy words from your competitors. So if you know of another certified business in our system that has that is successful, right? They're getting contracts with the state, and they do sort of the same thing that you do. You can look up their profile and copy keywords and UNSPSC keywords codes. Sorry. So how about the UNSPSCs? Okay, so big definition: United Nations Standard Products and Services Code. That's why we usually just say UNSPSCs. It is an 8-digit number, and it has a written description. Okay, it identifies a good or service, not an industry like the NAICS codes does. Okay, so it's different. It's more precise to what you do. This is sort of how the hierarchy works. Okay, you have 4 levels. Okay, each code is a part of a hierarchy with 4 levels. So each of the numbers you see, it's by 2s, right? So if you see the first one is 14000000. That is the broadest of all of the codes, okay? If you look at the description, it says paper materials and products. If you do sell stuff that's related to paper, you probably don't want to use that one. You really want to use something that's more specific to what you sell, because that one could include paper, toilet paper, to paper plates, to office supplies, like paper for copier or writing. So you really want to go into the level 3 or 4, which are more specific to what you may sell. 3 is still broader, but 4 is more precise, right? Printer or copier paper. You want to look at the last of the description, right? The ending of it. That's what's going to give you, but you also want to look at the main description. Lately, I've been helping a lot of people that do, they clean, they do their janitorial type of services. So what we've been finding is some of the levels, you look at it right away and it's products that they're selling. But so you can't just look at the end, right? But then you look at the beginning and then at the end, and that gives you a really good idea if that's what your business does, okay? So using UNSPSCs. So there's 2 ways. So we have the bidder profile, which is when you register your company, which anybody can register the company with the state of California. Okay, they just can't have the certification if they're not small enough. If they don't, if they don't have the requirements, they don't meet the requirements, they can't get the certification. But any company that even from out of state can register with the state, they'll have a bidder profile. Now, you as a certified business will have the bidder profile and the certification profile. So the bidder profile is not publicly displayed, but it does send you notifications. The system does, okay? You can have aspirational products and services in there, but really think about it, having those in there, if you really are thinking of expanding to maybe another product or another service, right? Now, the certification profile, it is publicly displayed. That's how you could copy the keywords and the UNSPSCs from your competition, because you will have the you will be able to see their profile. Okay, it is used by buyers to find your business, And you do have to be accurate on what, meaning your keywords and your codes, your UNSBSC codes have to be accurate to what your business currently does. So you don't want to have aspirational stuff in there. Okay. So there's two profiles. How do you select the UNSBSCs? While you're searching eProcure registration. Well, first, when you're doing the registration and certification, you're going to be searching for them. Okay, that's one way. But when you, if later you're like, oh, I forgot to include this or that, you can always do it later. Okay, and I'll show you how to do it, how to make your profile better. So you can also search on our DGS website. Don't use the UNSBSC.org website, because what happens is our website, we took away a bunch of codes that were not in use, okay, that the UNSBSC main website has. So we have the ones that we purchase only. So that's why I'm saying don't use the UNSBSC.org one. Use the one that is in our website. And then find codes through hierarchy. So you see how you have the level 1, the level 2. You could find them by putting the level 1 and then going below, because it will display the rest of them. Okay. Also use relevant codes from any level. So there's 4 level codes, right? Relevant meaning doesn't apply to your business. So always keep that in mind. And then also copy from the codes from competitors, which we talked about. And I'll show you later on where you can see that. This is a time when I can open it up for questions. If there's any questions, I think, let's see. I see a question. Let's see. How often should we update our eProcure profiles to make sure we stay competitive? Anytime you make a change, you want to put it into your profile, right? So anytime you implement a change in your company, you add a product or a service, you got to put it in there. You want to sell your products and services, you got to have them in your profile. Otherwise, they're not going to know. Buyers are not going to know that you have that you're selling that. So anytime you make a change in your company, meaning you add some service or product, that's when you want to do it. Or if there's a change, like for example, you lose an employee, you change your address, anything like that. That's important. You have to be current at all times. Now it says, if I have multiple services, should I list them all in the profile or should I focus on the main ones? No, list every single one that you sell. You don't want to, even if it's a little one, you never know. That could be the one that makes you seen to the buyer that, oh, this person not only sells this, but they sell something else, right? So you want to have everything that you sell in your profile. How do we determine the most relevant UNSBSC codes for our business? All the codes are going to be, oh, well, okay. So I see what you mean. You got to look at the code that describes the best what you sell. We can help you with that, looking through them. And it's the one that really describes your product or service. That's the bottom line, okay? If it's kind of general to what you do, you can add it. But if there's one that's very specific, that's the one that's most relevant. Do I need a business license? If it applies, then you do. I hope that makes sense. Some companies do not. And what do you mean by business license? You mean a license through the state secretary? If that's what you mean, everybody has to have the license through the Secretary of State. But if there's also other types of licenses, if it's required for the type of stuff that you do, the products or services that you sell, then you have to have it. Okay. Anytime there's a requirement for the type of services and products that you sell, if it requires a license, like be it a contractor's license, a seller or reseller or whatever it happens to be, you have to be current and up on your stuff. Okay. You have to have all that stuff. All right. Let's continue. Now, this is the good part. Let's update eProcure profiles. How do we do it? You're going to go into your profile in eProcure. Okay, that's our website, www.caliprocure.ca.gov. You're going to start in eProcure, top right-hand corner. You're going to click on Login Register. You're just going to log in. I hope this is the second webinar, so I hope you are all registered, right? And certified. So when you go into your eProcure, this is how your work center looks. We call it the work center, right? It has the certification information on the kind of towards the bottom. It has my account on the left and the certification on the right. We are going to start with under my account, okay? Under manage certifications. Oh, excuse me. You're going to click there. And then this is going to look similar or it's going to look familiar because you've gone through this before. When you registered, you saw a lot of these questions. This is very important. It's going to ask you, would you like to receive SB DVBE subcontracting opportunities? I did have one customer before and he had it had no. So they weren't receiving any notifications for subcontracting. And it had no on the second part. So they weren't receiving any notifications whatsoever. It is very important that you have yes in there. Once you put yes in there, then other fields are going to open up. Now you want to have, you can see right below it, the notification contacts. That's where you want to have either a current email address or like a generic email box that anybody in your business can access. That way, if you lose an employee, then you don't lose access to your notifications, okay? But that's where you would enter the email. Okay, so I already put that. So like I said, once you do that, then this is the second part. It's going to ask you, do you want to receive event notifications for CSCR bidding opportunities? That means, do you want to receive contract information? You want to. If you say no, the notification contracts and service areas are not going to appear. Okay, so put yes in there. Then you'll be able to have to add emails. That's under the notification contacts. This is to receive regular contracting information, right? The other one was subcontracting. You want to also have the service areas, right? Do you want to do statewide? If you want to do statewide, then you would click on the box that is right. It's the first box that says for services statewide. Click here. You would click there. If you only want to add maybe 4 or 5 and service areas is counties. Okay, let me just say that, counties. So if you want to have only a few counties, then you, right where it has the rectangle in there with the 3 lines, you type in the county, and then click on add, okay? Or click on the add service, and then a pop-up will appear, okay? And then that's how you're going to add them. All right, so adding UNSPSCs, it's not difficult, I'm telling you. It's just finding them that maybe, right? I would use the description, the UNSPSC description. So if you're in construction, you can even type construction, but construction is very broad. So you really want to do specific words. You can try it, type construction and see what comes up, okay? And see if you can get, because you'll get a long list of UNSPSCs. But in construction, I know you do certain things. You would want to put that. If you're in IT, then you would want to put whatever it is. I don't know anything about that because I don't work in that. I don't have a business. But you know your business, type in the keywords so that you can get the correct UNSPSEs. So when you type in the description, then you'll get, for example, I use paper. Then you'll get a bunch of, paper is very broad, right? It's going to include a bunch of stuff, even if it has nothing to do with real paper or paper that comes from trees, right? So you're going to get a long list. Then you click on the ones that apply to your company. And then at the bottom, you're going to be able to click on save. So, and then once you save them, they'll appear on the right side. That's how you'll know that that you have added those UNSPSE codes. Okay. All right. This is just the bidder registration profile. We haven't updated the certification profile. Are there any questions at this time? Okay, so there was a follow-up question about the license. So it asked for the document when I tried to do my certification. Yes, so that's why I was saying, if the type of business that you do, the type of work that you do, the type of, products and services that you sell require you to have a business license, a license of some type, it will ask you for the document, and you have to upload it into the system. Yes. Okay. This is probably more of a question that it might have come up in level 1, but I can see it because we're supposedly after level 1, you go and register and certify, right? So this is a good point, a good time for you to ask me those questions if you had any. If I don't know the answer, we can take it down. Make sure you include your information, and then I will follow up with you, okay? Or send me an email and with the question, and then I can follow up on it. Anything that I know, I have a big group of people that are very savvy. If I don't know, they will always help me out. How can we increase our visibility to state buyers looking for specific services or goods? I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, okay? So wait, hold up on that question. Okay, so hold up. I will talk about it in a little bit. If there's no more questions, I'm going to go on to the next one, but I will come back to that one, okay? And you'll see why. You'll see it. All right, so let's talk about updating your certification profile. So sorry about that. All right, so you're going to click on the right side, manage certification, okay? And then you're going to click on amend application. So I know this is going to look familiar because you've already done this. This is your application. Yes, you're amending, but not really. You're just trying to make your profile better, right? So you have to be on the other page. That's where you want to get to. But guess what? You're not going to be able to click on it. So you're going to have to click on save and continue until you get to the other page. So if you see how many tabs we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to have to click save and continue, save and continue, save and continue that many times until you get to the other page. It's going to be past where you input the information about your cars, the gross annual receipts after your taxes. That's where you're going to be. So it's save and continue. Once you're here in the other page, this is where you're going to see it's similar to the registration profile. If you saw that, where it has the service areas, the keywords, and then the UNSPSEs, because you add them in both places. On the bidder part is to get notifications too, right? And in this part it is for buyers to look for you, to be able to find you. So under the service area is going to, on the left side, is going to ask you, do you want to transfer the service areas from your bidder registration? Look, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. Unless you put in some aspirational areas that you would like to work in, because you could put aspirational on the bidder registration side. It's so easy. If you just bring them over, you just click on the X, right? Next to the county that you don't want to work on, that you don't currently work in, right? Because you can't. Maybe because financially it's not sound for you to do it. I mean, if you're in LA, you don't want to go all the way to Eureka for a 3-month project, which is gonna have expenses such as, you know, um, hotels and food and all kinds of stuff for you and your employees. So it just, you know, you know where you want to work, and if you're growing, then you can always come back and add the other area code. For the keywords, it is really easy to do it. And I'm telling you, I'm not even lying. If you see how before I said individual words, maybe if it applies like water filters or stuff like that, it's fine to put 2 words. But it's as simple as typing light bulbs, click on plus, lamps, click on plus, paint, and then click on the plus. That's how you add the keywords. It is, I know it's going to be hectic if you sell 200-300 products. It's going to be tedious, but it might be worth your while, right? So if you land a good contract, yeah, typing in 200 keywords might not be that bad, right? All right. Below that is going to be the UNSPSC area where you can add them. Okay. It's going to also ask you if it's the first time you're coming back into your profile. I think it doesn't ask you if you've already been here a couple times, but I think it's after the first time that you're trying to make your profile better and you get back into it. It's going to ask you that. Do you want to transfer the UNSPSC codes from your bidder registration? Again, work smarter, not harder. Transfer them. And if you put any aspirational stuff in there, just X them out. Okay, click on the X and that will do it. To add UNSPSCs, you just click on the Add UNSPSC classification. Then this little pop-up is gonna come up. Then you just simply put, and I know I use the word paper again. It's just easy to come up with because it's in our everyday life. Click, so if you see under the description, paper, then you click on the ones that apply to you. And then on the bottom is going to be the save button. And then that will be, yeah. So first you type it, then you click look up, then you'll have them there. Okay. And then you click on the ones you want to have in your profile and then click on save. Right there. And then they will be in your profile after that. And you can do this as many times as you want to. Okay. All right. So in your work center, I don't know if you noticed, but there is an area in there on the left side. It's the supplier diversity information. So in 2022, DGS began collecting voluntary diversity data information from certified businesses that are currently registered and also from new businesses that were coming into eProcure, right? The collection of this voluntary diversity data is part of California's commitment to support diversity, equity, and inclusion in the state procurement. Okay. It is completely voluntary. You can change it or remove it at any time. But let me tell you, it is not going to give you any contracting preference. It is simply to help us do better outreach, right? And also to understand where outreach may be needed, and so that our suppliers reflect the diversity of our state. Okay, so we're trying to reach everyone. And also so this information is displayed on the certification profile, which but only if the people, like say you are doing something, I don't know, and you download a bunch of, I don't know, small businesses with a certain whatever. If you're doing something and you download the certification profile of the business, that's the only time that you can see the diversity information. But otherwise, it's not even visible, not that visible, at least. Now, more information about it is in the supply diversity website, which I will share my slides with this organization, and they can let you guys have it if you want. Okay, if you want them. All right. So, how do we update the diversity information? You click on under my account, you click under manage diversity information, and then this is the pop-up. It's simple. You're just gonna have it's gonna ask you about the ethnicity, the race, gender, identity. You click on whatever applies to you, you save and stare. That's if you want to. You do not have to if you do choose not to. But if you do, you'll just let yourself know that you're helping us to hopefully do better outreach and so that we can get a better representation of the diverse businesses in our state. All right. Now I'm going to open it up for questions, and I see questions already displayed. Let me see. Should I add all the different variations of a keyword? Yes, that's like synonyms, right? Yes, you can do that. Like light bulbs, light bulb. You can put them like that, because you don't know how the person might have, like the person doing the contract might have put light bulbs instead of the word together, or the plural, right? So that way you ensure that you come up on the searches. There any kind of penalty for having too many keywords? No, absolutely not. No, if you sell 3,300, I don't know what the max is, to be honest. I don't even know. We've asked this question, and we've had this question many times. We don't know the answer. So I don't know if there is a limit to the keywords that you can add. Does adding a supply diverse information make me stand out more than someone who hasn't? No, it doesn't. Like I said, it's just to help us out with the outreach, and to know who's getting contracts and that kind of stuff. But it's not going to grant you any sort of preference. Are there certain things we should avoid doing? I don't know. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, I can think of a few things, like, but that's for the level 3. So you should come to the level 3, and we're going to be telling you about common mistakes, like not signing all the papers, responding to the bid, even seconds late from the due date and the time. There's a bunch of stuff. What would be my best route to take if I don't have products to sell? Well, then you sell services. It's fine. We buy services and products. So I'm not sure about that. But if you don't have products to sell, maybe you sell services, and that's fine. It's just you need to research and see if the type of service or product that you sell is purchased by the state. And that's going to come in a little bit, okay? That's doing market research. Okay? I hope I answered everything correctly. Like I said, if you feel like I didn't answer everything, or your question, you meant something else, you can always ask it again, or you can always send me an email. Okay, and we can have a one-on-one. We can help you out. All right. let's talk about the next topic, which is find contract opportunities. I'm sure you want to know about this, right? And you're going to find them in the California State Contracts Register. We call it the CSCR. That's where you can find public competitive bidding. Okay, that's contracts that are advertised and they're competitive. And you can post advertisements, yeah, for to be a subcontractor or something like that. Okay, or if you're a prime, you can post an ad that you're looking for subs. All right, so let's go to eProcure and show you how to access the CSCR. But let me tell you, you can do it without being logged in, but I would recommend that you are logged into your profile, because if you want to place an ad on a contract that you found, you're not going to be able to do so unless you're logged in. Okay, so log in and then you can click on Start Search. Okay, that's what you would do. This is if you're in eProcure, that Start Search is at the top. Your profile would be at the bottom, in the middle, and then those four. Let me show you this. Those four tiles that you see there: sell to the state, find public procurement, get certified, and find training resources. Get familiar with those, okay? But I'm just telling you that those tiles are also below your profile, okay? So even if you're logged in, you're going to be able to see them. Click through all of them. Get really familiar with eProcure, because you can find resources. You can find all sorts of stuff in there that you didn't know was here, okay? But let's go into what we would need to know, which is how to look up contracts, right? So when you click there, right away, this is going to pop up. And you could just start the search right there if you wanted to search by event name, which is all the contracts have an event name or an ID. Or if you know the department that you want to work with, you could do that. But if you, I always click on the advanced search criteria, because it opens up, excuse me, it opens up more fields for you to search by, okay? I use the item description a lot, if you notice, right? Even for keywords or for UNSBSEs to search for that, I use the item description. Well, I use it for finding contracts as well. You can also look up, if you know your code, your UNSBSE code, you can do a lookup by the code. You can do a lookup by service areas. Remember, service areas is counties. And you can also do a search by contractor license type. Now, can you mix it? Can you do a search using item description, service areas, and contractor license type? You sure can. Can you do item description and UNSBSE together at the same time? They kind of conflict, so don't do it together. You can, however, use the UNSBSEs and the other two at the same time, okay? Or one only. It's up to you how you want to search it. You can also save searches in eProcure, so you don't have to keep doing it over and over, like click on the different fields. You can click once and then save the search. They don't go over that too much, but if we have a one-on-one, I can show you. All right. So even if I hadn't typed anything on the system, I think I want to sneeze, sorry. Sorry. Allergy season right now. Right away, when I clicked on begin search, this is going to show below, even before you clicked on you put anything on the search fields. Okay, so I just forgot to put my phone down, and I know it might ring. Sorry about that. But let me just do that. So you're gonna see all of the contracts that are there in eProcure at the time, okay, when you begin the search. But this doesn't help you because it has everything, not necessarily the contracts that apply to your business, right? So what you want to do is search by using either the keywords or the UNSPSCs and whatever else criteria you want to use. So let me show you something. If you were to click on any of those contracts, and these are older contracts, okay? Some of them have already, like the due date is already passed. For example, this one that I'm showing you, but I like it because it has a good, it has good information that it's important for you. Sorry. On the right-hand side, you have view event package. So that means, an event is contract. Okay, that's all it is. So if it says view contract package, that's what event means. If you click on it and you at I believe it's a PDF that opens up, but you'll have all of the information about the contract. Please read it thoroughly because it is very important that you understand everything that's in the contract. Okay, I had a business. They weren't a small certified business, but it doesn't matter. They were from out of state, and they were doing business with the state agency. I'm not gonna name them, but I guess there was something on the contract that said that they could go back and audit some of the work that was done. That company may have to pay back some of the money because they didn't read the contract correctly. So read it and understand it very, very thoroughly. Okay? Understand it. If you don't understand certain things, ask questions. Ask the contract administrator. If it's not within the time, because there is open question and answered periods, they have to advertise the questions, okay? The Q&A. And hopefully your question is going to be there. But if not, go to an agency that can help you understand what it is that the contract, that part that you don't understand what it means, okay? If you see there is next to that, it's view vendor ads. So if there were any ads posted, you could click in there and look at them. Now, what it doesn't have is the post vendor ad, which if I had gone in and looked at this contract when I was logged in, that rectangle would be in there for you to click and post your vendor ad. Okay. Next, below that is the contract information. Very important. That's the contract administrator. That's the person in charge of this contract. But like I said, remember, there's an open time for questions and answers. Ask it. If it's past the time, then they're probably going to tell you, sorry, it's past the time, but here's the Q&A. All right. Next is the pre-bid conference. Super important. If it's mandatory for you to be at a pre-bid conference, you have to be there. Okay, this one is passed. I just, like I said, I grabbed it because it has good information. It will have the date, the time, and the location. Okay, if there is a location, if it is in person, they will give you the address. If it's online, they will probably post the link or something. I don't know. But it is important that you know that if it says it's mandatory and you don't attend it, you cannot bid on this contract. Okay, so very important. Middle part towards the bottom. End date. That is super important. I had a customer call me. And funny thing is, they actually bid on a project for LA County. I have nothing to do with LA County, right? I'm state, but it doesn't matter. She was kind of upset because she put in her bid at 1 and 2 seconds. 1 o'clock and 2 seconds. Guess what? The person told her she was late. 2 seconds too late. To me, that would still be 1 o'clock. I have nothing to do with it. And even if it was with the state, I wouldn't be able to save you on that, right? You really don't want to leave it to the last minute to submit your bid, okay? So those are the important things. Now, there's codes, there's contractor's license, and on the bottom, read the whole thing. It's important that you understand it, okay? If you were to place wanted to put an ad, this is what it would look like. Contact details, your name, your email ID, your phone number, the title, okay? Your company name probably, um, the response by deadline that you want to hear from them, and then you can click on either prime seeking a sub or sub seeking a prime, okay? Very important, put in your certification number and then like a 30-second elevator speech. Um, like for this one, build fences, be it wood, aluminum, or concrete, and then been in business for 20 years. Super short, but concise, right? To the point. All right. This is the end of this section, so let's open it up to more questions. And I do see more questions, so let me see. Is there a way to know which departments are spending the most and on what types of products or services? Yeah, we do have, let me look it up. I have my handy dandy, it's a cheat sheet, I guess you can say, of all the websites because we get that stuff. Let me look for it. It's just I have so many things in there that it's not as easy to find it anymore. um, ha, don't tell me I'm not gonna have it. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Here we go. Um, I'm gonna copy it and paste it into the chat. All right, so you can look at that. There is another one, so I'm hoping this is the one that has the info. Um, there is two that you can look up contracts, but I think this is the one. If I didn't give you the correct one, just let me know, send me an email and say, this doesn't have the info that I want. Okay, so if I want to improve my proposals, can I search for contracts that have been awarded and see the bid document that one? Yes, and I'll show you that information. And I will also send you an email that you can request the entire document. Sometimes Skippers doesn't have everything in there. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I was gonna type the cuff information. There's an email right here. Uh, sorry, but trying to do everything. There we go. That's the email that you could request all of the contracts, okay? But I'm going to show you where you can see some of the stuff in there. Yeah. All right. So I think those are all the questions that we have right now. Let's go to the next searching to the next one, which is what you were asking. Search past purchases. Why is it important to search, right? You will be able to do that in eProcure. This is in the state contract and procurement registration system. I'm going to call it Skippers from now on because that is very long and I do not want to say that over and over again. All right. So Skippers is a database of all state purchasing, and it includes state and non-state dollars. That kind of sounds weird, right? But the reason why it has some non-state dollars is because there's a few departments, just a handful, maybe less than a handful, like Caltrans, maybe state parks, high-speed rail, that get federal grants for some of the work that they do. That's why we say it may have non-state dollars. It is public facing. Anybody can access it, and you can use it to conduct market research to see pricing, who's selling it, who got it, and who to contact to market your business, which is one of the questions that they were asking me about, right? What was the question? It was something about how to, yes, to increase your visibility to state buyers, right? Looking, okay. So this is where we're going to talk about it. All right, so let's go into how you're going to look into Skippers. There's two ways. And I don't know, for whatever reason, my boss created these slides and They always go the one that has an extra step. To me, quick links on the top is the easiest one because you just click on quick links and then click on find past purchases. This one, you click on find public procurement information, then you click on find past purchases, which is skippers. Then you'll see this. Okay, this is already with a search. When there is no search, it's just gonna have the top part. All right. So the description is, like I said, I like using description, but you can always use the if you know the UNSPSC code, you can also use that. You would click on the advanced search criteria. Now, why this is important? Because one, if you submitted a proposal and you didn't, then you can see what was done, right? You can look at the contract and see why they got it. But you can also try to reach out to the contract administrator and see if they tell you why you didn't get it, okay? So very important. The first line is the department that purchased it. Okay, that's the department that made it. The second one is the contract. You can click on it and a document will open up. Sometimes it has a lot of information, sometimes it doesn't. I have no idea what or why, but that's how it is. If it is not there, just send an email requesting it, okay? Now, the fourth column is very important. It says the first item title. When you're doing research, you want to look at that information because, like for construction, okay, maybe in there might be a contract for construction paper. It has nothing to do with actual constructing of roads or a building or something like that, right? So read through the description. That will tell you, because you know what you do, right? You know what you sell. You'll know if that has to do with what you sell. Okay, so it's very important that you read through it because then you can open the contract and see the information. If you keep going towards, and I'm gonna switch because I want you to see. If you keep going to the right, you'll see the supplier ID and the name and the certification type. So if they are certified, you'll be able to look up their profiles in eProcure. If they're not, you'll probably be able to find them in the website and you can look at them and see what you can get from them. But if they're in our website in eProcure and they're a certified small business, you know they're successful, you can look up their profiles, okay? And then once you look up their profile, and the way you do it, you know that on the menu on the top that I said quick links, you click on quick links and then you look up certified small businesses, SBs and DVBEs, and then you type in their, I copy and paste it. That's what I do when I do that kind of research. And then you can, on the bottom of their information is going to appear, right? Their work center, but not with all the information that you would see in once you're logged in. But you'll see the information like their name, their address, email, website, that kind of stuff that you would have in a website, period, in any public facing website. And then on the bottom, a little bit below that information, that's where you'll see the keywords and the UNSPSC codes. I think they call them something classifications, okay? You can click on them and then grab whatever applies to your company, okay? So that's important. Also important is the acquisition types, right? Because you'll see in here is like the first one says public works SB option competitive. So that means this SB option, these are ones, the contracts that are specifically for certified businesses. It's an SB or DVB. They call it SB option, but these are smaller contracts if this one's public works, so it just went up to 461,000, but it used to be 300 and something thousand. Now it's 461. So any contracts in public works that up to 461,000, they can be given to, and it depends on every contract, okay, and also the department. But those SB options are up to that amount, and for regular ones, it's up to from 5,001 penny to 250 minus a penny, 250,000 minus a penny. So those are the SB options, okay, SB DVBE options. But that's why it's important. Then you have the buyer information, right? So you may be able to, if this is a past contract, do not bother them unless you bid on them, because one, they're busy and they're not going to be able to help you with a past contract unless you bid on it and you want to find out information about why you didn't get it. Okay, whether they answer you or not, I have no control over that, right? My hopes is that that they're responsive to your questions. But if not, hey, go up the chain of command. But this is all very important information. So, because this is going to lead up to the next section, which is, now that you know which department purchases what you sell, you'll be able to contact the advocates of those departments. And I'm going to just hold it right there. And that goes to, how do I make my department visible? Right? I mean, my business visible to state departments. That's how you do market research. So one, you find out which departments purchase what you sell. You find out who your competition is. You learn about pricing, because you can learn about pricing and things like that, right? And then, since you know which departments purchase what you sell, you're going to be able to send emails to the advocates of those departments. I'm going to open it up for questions at this time. I don't think I see any questions. If there's no questions, I'm going to go to the next one, okay? Okay. So, which is the advocates. So, state advocates are state employees, and any agency or department that procures at least 100,000 per year, they have to have a small business and disabled veteran business enterprise advocate. Okay, they work closely with the purchasing and procurement department, right? And their titles, they could be managers, analysts, different things like that. So these are some of the roles and responsibilities that the advocates have, but one that pertains a lot to you are these, right? So they help you as a certified business to contract with their department. They can help you. They can help to assist businesses with prompt payment questions. If you know anything about prompt payment, that is a State Department has to pay you within 45. They have 45 days to pay you, and this is from an undisputed invoice. So if you submit it and the state says, "Oh, this is wrong," and they give it back to you, the 45 days do not start there. Okay, so it starts after your invoice is accepted and it's not disputed by the department. Okay, they also help buyers to find certified businesses. Okay, and because they're supposed to also seek out new businesses, right? Laws have passed that say that state departments, they have to seek out new certified businesses. So they want to expand the pool of suppliers and give more opportunities to everybody. I mean, we do that a lot in our personal lives. We like a certain restaurant, we like a certain store, we like a certain whatever, and we go to that one all the time, right? Instead of trying out different things. A lot of us are like that, right? So to do away with that, well, some laws were passed and state departments are supposed to diversify. and give more opportunities to more people, more businesses. All right. When you contact an advocate, what do you want to do? Right? What kind of information you want to do? What you want to have? Well, you want to have your contact information, like your name, company name, your certification number. Oh my God. You really want to make sure that you give them your certification number. Tell them, I am a certified small business or DVBE, whatever it is, or if you're dual, and that you can help them meet their 25% goal and 3% for DVBEs, right? Let them know that you know about that. Let them know briefly what you do and attach your capability statement. Do you know what your capability statement is? It's basically your business resume. That's what it is. This is like a sample that we just, if you Google or use Siri, whatever it is that you do, and you do a capability statement, you'll get samples of it. So it looks sort of like a resume, right? But it's from a business. This is a very simple one, okay? But you want to have, just like in your personal resume, right? You want to have everything in there that's pertinent to a buyer to know about your business. That's exactly what you want to have. Everything that's pertinent for a buyer to know. Okay. When you contact an advocate, do you have any current or upcoming contract opportunities? Can you include me in relevant solicitations? And I know this last one, list of commonly purchased goods and services, you can do the research in Skippers or in that the one that I just posted, the one that I just somebody asked. Oh my goodness, the dashboard. In there, it has the common goods and services purchased, and you can look by department. Okay, so I don't know about that question. It's there. You can ask, but you can do the instead of asking for the commonly purchased goods and services, you want to probably let them know. I know you sell blah blah blah. I sell that too, right? Yeah. You want to. It's just like when you go into an interview, you want to know. You want to research the company before you go to the interview. Kind of the same here. You want to research a department before you hit them up, so they know at least that you know what they're doing, you know what they sell, right? How do you find them? How do you look up an advocate? This is why I was telling you that those 4 tiles are on the bottom of your work center, because you're going to be using them a lot. Believe it or not, you are. You're gonna click on find training and resources. Then you're gonna scroll down under research and marketing, and then you're gonna click on contact a small business and a DVB advocate. All right, this website is gonna come up, and you're gonna click on download the advocate directory. Okay, when you do that, an Excel spreadsheet is gonna come up. This is all good information. All right. Why am I pointing out the ones that are highlighted? All of those have I guess committed to the SV DVBE option. Remember the ones that I said that they'll try to reach do those contracts between 5,000 and 1 penny and 250,000 minus a penny to SBs and DVBEs. And if it's for public works, up to 461,000. Well, these are the ones that are like really, really, there's a bunch more, okay? This is just a screenshot of a few. There is over 200 departments, and many of them are adopting this policy. So it's good for you. But the first column is important because that's the business. That's the business. That's the department that purchases, right? And you did the research before, so you wrote them down. You know that Department of Technology purchases your IT products or whatever, or your services. You're gonna hit them up, right? if you go to the right, then you're going to find the name of the advocate. And then you're going to find their email address, their phone number, the website, all that good information. Now, if you are in public works, all those that are in that column that have an X, those are departments that have a lot of public works, okay? Construction type stuff. So we went over a bunch of stuff. I'm going to open it up for questions. What is the best way to approach an advocate for assistance? So, like I said, you are going to do the research. You are going to find out which departments. Once you know what department, you're going to contact that advocate. You're going to send them brief information. You don't want to overwhelm them, right? But definitely your certification number, what you do, like a 30-second elevator type of speech quickly so that they know what you do, and attach your capability statement. How often should you contact them? Put yourself in their shoes. How often would you like to be contacted by prospective business, right? Or people seeking your business? How often would you like? Think about it. When you get those marketing calls or whatever, just put yourself in their shoes. Think what would be good for you to yourself if you were being the one contacted. How often would you like to be contacted? And that should answer your question, right? There's another question. Does an advocate have a role in purchasing, or do they assist in the bid process? No, they do not have any, they don't have a role in the purchasing, and they cannot assist you with the bid process. It's I guess, what do you call it? Conflict of interest. But there are organizations that can help you, like the one that's hosting this webinar. I'm sure maybe they can help you, but I know that the Small Business Development Centers, SBDCs, the PTACs, I'm sorry, they're called the Apex Accelerators. They can also help you with the bid process. And there's a bunch of maybe chambers of commerce. There's a bunch of organizations that can help, okay? And they offer it for free. So use those. Use anything that's, those organizations that offers services for free, okay? I don't think I see any more questions, so all right, I'm going to go to the next section, which is the reciprocity partners. So a reciprocity partner can be a city, a county, an agency, or a special district that honors the state of California's small business and/or disabled veteran business enterprise certification as an acceptance into their individual business enterprise programs. So we have a bunch of reciprocity partners. I'm going to give you I passed it. Sorry. It could be, I know that we have like the city of LA, San Diego Unified School District. I can't even remember all the university systems, the UCs and the state universities. There's a bunch of them that accept our certification, and it's super simple. Once you, I think when you're registering in their system, okay, they will ask you if you have any type of certifications, and when you tell them that you have ours, they check you out in our system, and then boom, you're in their system. At least that's how simple someone told me that it was. Okay. All right. Another important thing for you as a small business, as a small certified business, is the SV DVBE Emergency Registry. Okay, this is a dedicated portal for California certified businesses to register as a supplier of emergency goods and services. It is separate from eProcure. And completely different because it only includes certified small businesses that can provide, emergency type of goods and services. Okay, it is used by state departments, the buyers, businesses. You have to be ready, okay, for emergency contract type of work. You cannot register in there if you are not ready and able to provide the goods and services that you say you can. Okay, it does have predetermined categories of goods and services. These are some of them. They're not. It's not all of them. But you do have to select at least one category when registering. Okay. What do you need to register for the emergency registry? You'll definitely need your certification number. You'll need the emergency categories that you fall upon or under. A good description of the products and services that you provide. And of course, we're going to need your information, like your business address and contact information, both primary and emergency after hours, because emergencies happen at any time. And they can call you at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, I need whatever you say that you can provide, right? So be ready. If you're going to register here, you have to be ready. I always use this example. You wouldn't want an untrained fireman to show up at your house to try to put out your fire, right? That's exactly what this is. You don't want somebody who cannot perform on whatever it is that they're saying they can to register here. All right, how do you find, or how can you register, right, for the emergency registry? Well, you click on Sell to the State. Remember, I told you those 4 tiles below your information, your work center. That's why you need it. I pointed them out because you're going to be using them a lot. So click on Sell to the State, and then you scroll down to where it says SB DVBE Emergency Contracting, and you just follow the prompts. Okay. Now let's talk about commercially useful function. Oh, and before I go into this, the emergency registry does have like a guide that you can follow, okay, if you're having trouble. And there is also an email in there that you can contact, and it's someone from my office that will help you out. Okay. Now let's go into the commercially useful function. So commercially useful function applies to all SB and DVBE bidding and participating in contracts, okay? And as well as if you're a sub or anything like that, it always applies, okay? And you perform CUF if your business is executing a distinct element of the work, if you're managing or supervising the work, if you are performing work that is normal to the firm's business services and functions. So basically, if you're running your business, right? You're doing the daily stuff, negotiating price, determining quality and quantity, ordering, installing, and making payments. Important, not subcontracting a portion of the work greater than expected by industry practices. You know, in construction, it's common to subcontract part of the work. As long as it's within the norm, then you're okay. But if you ever have doubts, ask the question. It's better to ask the question than to be sorry. Okay. Okay, so there's a question. If we don't respond or can't perform on time, do we get removed or penalized? What do you mean if you don't respond, though? So because that seems to me like separate. If you don't respond to the bid, or what exactly is the question? Now, if you can't perform on time, do we get removed from or penalized? That is a question that you would have to ask the contract administrator. If you can't perform on time, you really want to be in contact. If you think you're going to be late, You really, this is related to the emergency registry. Okay. If we don't respond or can't perform on time. Okay. You're talking about the emergency registry. So if you don't respond, so if they send you a bid and you don't respond, um, well, you're not going to be considered, right? But then, listen, if you ever get a bid, okay, if you an email asking for a bid, um, even if you can't perform on the contract, be responsive. Let them know. At this time, I'm not able um, to do the contract, but please keep me in your radar. Something simple, just so that they know that at least you're looking at the emails, even if at this time you're busy doing another contract and you can't do it, but at least be responsive. If you can't perform on time, um, you really have to be in communication with the contract administrator. Okay. And if you can't perform on time, or do we get removed or penalized? Like I said, it just being in contact with the contract administrator, okay? Because you really want to you really want them to know. And if you can't perform the job on time, yeah, I don't know. A useful function. This is you're not performing, okay? If you are if you're being used as a pass-through to obtain the appearance of SV DVBE participation. Sometimes we hear about this kind of stuff happening, like where Prime asks you, oh, let's just, let me, use you. I'll pay you some money, but you're not going to you're not going to do anything. That's against the law. Okay. That's, you're not performing CUF. And so you are in violation and you can get in trouble. If you're not being used to perform the work as stipulated in the bid, this is where you know about it, and you, for whatever reason, they're not using you. That is not okay. Okay. If you're no longer used to provide goods and services listed in initial bid, they're kind of similar. Anytime you find out about this, you need to you need to report them, whoever it is that is doing this. Okay. It needs to be reported because you're violating the law. There could be sanctions, which is, it could be monetary. You could be like expelled from or banned from doing any state work for a number of years, could be up to 10 years. So honestly, it's really not worth it. Whenever you're in doubt, just ask questions. Okay, that's my thing. All right, we're almost at the end, so we're gonna give you back a little bit of time. So these are some of the resources that I spoke to you earlier. Okay, SCORE is for very new businesses. They offer business mentorship, but I already told you about the SBDCs and the Apex accelerators, so I'm not gonna go over them, but they can help you as well. Let's go over what we spoke about, or what I spoke about, right? Went over eProcure profiles. I talked a little bit about the keywords and UNSPSCs. I showed you how to find contract opportunities and what's important in there, right? I showed you how to research past purchases and why it is important, because you can find lots of good information, including your competition, who's buying, the pricing, how to contact SV, DVBE advocates. I told you about the reciprocity partners, the emergency contracting, and lastly, the commercially useful function. There is a question right now. What type of services are procured by the state? The state purchases different types, IT services, translation services, sometimes marketing services. There's all kinds. I wouldn't be able to name all of them because I don't know all that there are. I just named some of the ones that I know. Cleaning services, like janitorial services. Um, what else? Guard services. So it's a bunch. It's a lot of different types of services that are bought by the state. I just can't remember everything. Generally pertaining to bid pricing, are there resources for pricing products or services? Honestly, looking at catalogs, looking at our contracts, past contracts, um, and what you see around you. Uh, yeah. All right. So we do have a LinkedIn account. Follow us. Sometimes, like uh, this webinar was posted there. We advertise it. So follow us. Sometimes we post other stuff that's important. Um, so just follow us, like us if you like whatever you see. But there's definitely good information in there that you'll find, including webinars and other information. If you need to have a one-on-one with myself or another person in my team, you can schedule a one-on-one consultation. You just take your phone and copy it. It will pop up a calendar. You'll enter your information. You can choose a date and time and the person and the 4 different types of consultations. And it doesn't matter to me, whatever you choose in there. I always, whenever you come up on the screen, I always ask, what do you need help with? And then we go from there. So you can choose whatever seems like it's more appropriate for you. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for participating. Again, here's my information. I don't know. I don't see any more questions, but if there are, this is the time for you to put them, because yeah, we're at the end. Thank you so much. I hope you found the information valuable, and any questions that I didn't, clearly answered, you're welcome to send me an email or schedule a one-on-one. I'm on the list of people that you can do a one-on-one with. Okay. If there is no more questions, then it is 10:23. I think I'm going to give you back like 7 minutes of your time. Thank you so much.